Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the It Takes Two podcast, episode number 11. We are so glad that all of our two crew are joining in today. Hope your Friday is going good.
You know what's funny? We got a message and it was like, oh, I'm a little late, but I feel like you guys could have been called Tooligans.
The
I was like,
Tooligans.
I don't know. I think Two Crew's a good fit.
I like Tooligans, but
But it's like, they're not all hooligans.
well, we don't know. Maybe they are.
Some of you out there, who knows?
We're excited about this episode. We're going to be talking about the Dating Hall of Fame and with our relationship, and then also, talking about grand gestures and how much those mean to us and what we think about that as being important. But as always, if you guys haven't yet, make sure that you are leaving a review for the podcast wherever you're watching from, Apple or Spotify or YouTube. Subscribe, leave a review. That's the best way that you can say thank you for the podcast. We love doing it, and we love seeing all the incredible reviews that you guys give.
Yeah, we love it. Thank you so much. I've had so many people come up to me recently and just saying like, oh, I listened to the podcast and I love it. Or, this really challenged me. And we just love to hear like feedback from you guys, especially positive feedback. But it's so encouraging to know that, this is actually blessing people. So don't feel like it's weird to be like, I don't want to bother you. I receive it.
We do love it.
I love it.
You put stuff out there and you're like, well, hopefully people listen to it. And
so, yeah, I just feel like that's really sweet and we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So before we get into the actual Dating Hall of Fame and everything, we are going to do a segment, and we haven't done the segment in a little bit, and we are doing an overrated, underrated segment. So if they haven't seen or heard it, what is this segment?
So this segment is we'll take ideas that are, referred to in relationships, and we're going to take each item. Each one of us will give our opinions on, do we think that this idea is overrated? Like, it's not as cool as everyone says it is. Or is it underrated, saying that people need to give us a little bit more hype?
Exactly. Okay, so first topic is coordinated outfits as a couple. So we can, coordinated matching. This always falls under maybe like pajamas or going out and color schemes. So
I'm like smiling so big.
I know, because I already know your answer.
Know.
So what do you think? Overrated, underrated?
I think it is severely underrated. I do. There's just nothing better than always being like in sync and ready for any moment to have your image captured. When we were dating, Spencer and I, when we were getting ready, would be like, what are you wearing today? And it was like, okay, we would try to wear something that was,
Hold on, wait. I do not remember this.
Oh my gosh. It happened all the time.
No, hold on. No, it did not.
Yes, it did.
When we were dating, I would text you and say, what are you wearing today? So I could coordinate it. That never happened. No. That never happened.
Exposed.
That is not true. I will die on.
Okay, so when I dated a different guy named Spencer, we used to text back and forth saying, what are you wearing? And we would coordinate outfits.
I just can't believe. No, this is not true. This is not true.
So I'm guessing you're saying overrated.
No. I'm not even saying overrated. I think it's properly rated. I think, okay.
What is the rating?
There are times where it's totally appropriate to match. Times. Disneyland. Christmas.
We've never matched at Disneyland.
No, I know, but like you see the couples and it's like Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. I think that's okay. I think that's cool. Yeah, do you. Vacations, like, fun things, that's okay to match. Swimsuits, definitely okay to match. Christmas pajamas in general, okay to match. Anything else besides that, I would say it's overrated. Like if we're going out to like a dinner, we're not going to match. We coordinate. Color schemes.
Coordinate and matching is different. I think coordinating is key. Yeah. Matching is like, you're not twins. Like, all right, let's get that out of here.
I think, you coordinate, but you make it look like you're not trying
Like
to
if
coordinate,
I'm
you know?
wearing like light, bright white, brown colors, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe you should dress in the brown family.
Yeah. You tell me that.
Yeah.
But we did not have, that has never happened where I texted you and said, "What are you wearing today?"
If any of you
So I
believe,
could coordinate. That never happened.
if any of you believe in conspiracy theories, then believe this, that this man's memory was wiped.
I don't have a great memory, but I would remember something like that. So I'm going to say generally,
It was something I really admired about you, so now I'm questioning everything.
I would say generally overrated. I like coordinating now. Makes me look like a unit, but yeah, I say properly rated.
What is the rating?
6
What
out
is
of 10.
your rating?
6
Let
out of
us
10.
know.
Okay, going on to the next one. I cannot believe that's crazy. Fathers. Oh, asking a father's permission before dating and marriage.
I think that this is underrated.
Okay, why?
I mean, at least for my family, you had to ask our dad's permission to take us to a dance, to date us, to marry us, like the progression. And I know that's not true for everyone, that they have like their actual like father maybe in their lives, maybe that they're not the person that they would go to for their spiritual covering, or whatever that may be. But I think, who is that person for you that is your covering? Like, there is someone in your life. Maybe it's not your parent, maybe it's someone. And I think just getting that permission of like, can we pass that torch on to me to be their covering?
I'd say it's underrated too, especially nowadays, like especially in today's world. I think it's severely underrated. I think as a man, you should always look to live with honor and respect. And I think that's the most honorable and respectful thing that you can do, is go to a dad or a father figure, if they don't have a dad, and to ask that permission. And just, there are stories, of course, even with people that we know, that it's like, hey, the relationship the relationship between the girl and the dad was like really bad, really fractured. And so he was like basically not giving the blessing, but it actually was like a really good dude. And so that's a kind of a different story. I'm saying in general, it's very underrated. Like, you should at least attempt to try.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to like that biblical principle of honoring your parents. And so I think it's really classy.
It is classy. Classy.
I think people just underestimate like the value that's placed on family sometimes, or they just think like, oh, I'm independent, I don't need anyone's permission for anything, I can do whatever I want. And it's like, well, surely you can, but it just kind of goes, it's more just, it's an honorable thing.
Absolutely. And like, honestly, if you're not married to a girl, then especially if you're not even dating the girl, then you have to realize like, you are not the man in her life. Like, the man in her life is her dad. So it's like, you can't come and be you can't try and be all big and mighty and, take the reins. No, you don't have that right. You don't have that ability. That's her spiritual covering, her fatherly covering. So you have to go and respect that and honor it and ask and make sure it's okay before you begin dating and marrying, And that's obviously assuming the healthy relationship is there. But yeah, that's not like your place to be able to try and take over and lead in that sense.
How did that go for you?
Great. I mean, Roger loves me, so.
That's my dad.
Yeah, her dad's Roger. So I asked Roger to date you, and he was 2 thumbs up. I asked him to marry you, and he was 2 thumbs up.
He almost asked you, are you going to date my daughter?
Yeah, he did. I think we talked about that in the previous episode, but
you did ask him, but he also asked you.
He encouraged me to ask him.
Yeah.
So it went great both times though. And it lets you feel better going into it too. Like, you have support and, you have the family behind you and backing you. So I would say it's underrated. I doubt, teenage guys that are right now, like high school, whatever, asking college, like how many guys are asking a girl's dad to date her?
No, they're not. And then they're like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I feel like that's never a question that you want from your parents of like, wait, who's this person in this photo?
Yeah.
That's awkward. Awkward.
Especially if it's someone that's so pivotal in your life that you spend so much time with.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you want your family to know who this person is? Or I don't know. I just think it's great to blend those worlds.
And like speaking to the majority here, like your parents generally do have a good sense of who's good for you and who's not. You know, even
Yeah.
if you butt heads with them, you know, even with, you know, you get frustrated with them, whatever, even if they don't fully understand whatever it may be, like generally a parental love is always going to be to protect your child. And so because of that,
Right.
sometimes you need a little bit more skepticism from other
Mm-hmm.
people about who you're dating.
People that aren't attached at the heart level,
Yeah.
and someone that has spent and devoted their life to raise you since infancy.
Yeah.
I think that they have some skin in the game to have an opinion.
I just had this conversation and I will not name names, but it's super funny.
Name
No,
them.
no. But
Tell me later.
yeah, I'll tell you after because you'll laugh. But there's this girl and she came into the office and she's like, okay, she's like, you know, she wasn't even talking to me. This was not direct. I was just in the vicinity of the conversation. She was like, you know, there's this guy and he's really cool and, you know, but the only thing is like, he doesn't have a car. And I kind of was like, and I was like, okay, what are we talking about here? She's like, you know, he's cool. He just like, is that
She
not
wasn't talking to you?
she was like, it was kind of like group conversation, but I wasn't a part of it. But then I entered and I was like, wait, what are we talking about? She's like, you know, he's great and he's awesome. It's just like he has his permit. And I'm like, well, how old is he? You know? And he's like, well, he's like 18. And I'm like, okay, if he's 18, he doesn't have his license, he doesn't have a car, like, and she's like, is that a red flag? And I was like, well, I mean, kind of. And then Lex walks in.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, ask Lex. And she's like, is that a red flag? Lex goes, absolutely. What? How does he not have a car? But it's just so funny because when your feelings are more attached, you'll give leeway where other people will be like, wait, what? That's weird. Or that dude's
The
weird. Or
thing
why
that
does
bothers me most is, oh, you don't know him like I know him.
Yeah.
And I think the people that don't know you like you know them, like they're just going to see things maybe more clearly.
Yeah. You're
Obviously,
blinded.
people that have the best intentions for you, the same values as you, take all that into account, but
Yeah.
we like that.
So underrated. Underrated for both.
Yeah. So next one is public proposals.
Oh man, public proposals. This is a tough one. Everybody's seen like the proposals in public that just do not go well.
I don't know. When I think public proposals, the first thing that comes to mind for me is like a flash mob. Like what public proposals?
Have you ever seen a flash mob proposal?
I don't know. That just
No,
seems so public.
I'm saying like there's Disney. We were in Disney and somebody proposed next to us. That's a public proposal.
Oh.
Like a baseball game, a sports game. All of those are public proposals. Where the camera, everybody's attention, they're not expecting it. Everybody's attention goes to the proposal. That's what a public proposal
That
is.
just sounds so overrated.
I think it is overrated. Unless like somebody really wants it. But do people really want
Do people
public
really
proposals?
want that?
You
I
know,
wouldn't want that.
Do people want to get proposed to at a Seahawks game?
That's like not romantic to me.
You know, I like get it maybe if you guys are like, oh, we're Disney fanatics, or we're like, I don't know, sports, like Chiefs football fanatic. I don't know, like you guys share some common bond, and because of that, it's special. You know, but I would say,
What do they have? Chiefs like salt and pepper shakers in their house?
what are you talking about?
Like, why are they that invested into a football team as a couple?
I'm like, what?
I'm just saying, like, how far does this go?
I think if a woman doesn't, or if a woman says, I want to be proposed to at this spot and it's public, 2 thumbs up. If you've never heard your girlfriend publicly or like out loud say, I would love a public proposal, do not do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like uncomfortable, I feel like, for everyone around you.
Yeah. Overrated for sure.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan. I'd love to hear your story if you had one, though.
Yeah, and if it was great, then good for you. I'm not saying it's like I don't like them. I'm just saying it just seems awfully risky.
Yeah.
Public rejection.
Yeah. I feel like most people that ask someone to marry them are, I think everyone's nervous, but I think most people are confident and some people probably shouldn't be. And I feel like it's in the public proposals where it's the most painful to see that play out in a negative way.
Yeah. You know what I don't understand?
No.
I don't understand when I watch a video of a proposal and they say no. Because I'm like,
What signs were you not reading?
I'm like, you really didn't know?
Because like when we were getting engaged, I was like, I want to get married. This is the ring I want. This is like, maybe the ideas I have about how this could go. So it's obvious that
Like-
that's something that we're both in agreement on.
Yeah, like you've never had a conversation about it. You've never been like, hey, I would love, what do you think about marriage? That's never come up.
Yeah, I wonder what those risk
I
takers are thinking.
always I'm like, where was the disconnect here? Like, you must be one of the most unaware people in the entire world, or
That's
this
cringy.
girl is really leading you on, which is a tragedy in itself. But they
Poor
always
guy.
confuse me. Poor guy. Man.
Wasting his time, wasting his money.
Ugh, yeah. So, I have my dog staring at my face. We have our 2
Sweet.
dogs in front of us right now because they get anxious downstairs, and so they're with us.
They're vibing.
Okay, so that's our underrated, overrated segment. Short and sweet.
Yeah, but I thought that was kind of fun. I like those 3 ideas.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think is overrated or underrated.
Yes, let us know. And moving on to, this is going to be fun. We've had people ask us for some ideas for like what are some dates that you guys have done that you've really liked. We just want to, like obviously have more fun in our marriage or in our dating life. So what would you recommend? And we had the idea, why don't we do like, because we've done drafts, but why don't we do like a date Hall of Fame? Like what are some of the best dates that we've been on?
Yes.
And what are the stories behind them? We talked about it beforehand. I'm like, okay, if we're going to plan and talk about our dating Hall of Fame, then we should try to work on like finding the images or like videos from those dates.
Mhm.
And then hopefully we can share them. Maybe we can pop it up when we're talking about it in this video.
Yeah.
Or, we can put it out on social media so you guys can kind of get a glimpse into what they are. But that was kind of fun to reminisce and go back.
It was.
It's like almost 10 years that we've been together.
Yeah, we started dating in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But,
it
like,
has been
End of June 2014.
Yeah, so we're coming up on our 10-year dating anniversary, being together.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I know.
Okay, so a lot of memories to unpack here. Do you want me to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Do you have like your top solidified, or are you kind of more like, generalizing?
I wrote down 4 just in case you stole one from me.
Oh, so we're not able to say the same.
Oh, wait, we can.
You go first. I honestly have no idea what you're gonna say.
Okay, so
Where is it going?
where's it going? Okay, so one time, so this is actually, I kind of broke the rules a little bit because we weren't actually dating, like officially. You know what I'm gonna say? You're gonna
Stop.
say.
No, I want to say this one.
Oh, you do? Okay, go.
No, you
No,
can
no,
say
you can go.
it.
You can go. Go.
No, I want to hear it from your perspective.
Okay, the mission trip?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is like in the timeline of me and Adrian just starting to hang out in groups. Like I actually had an interest in her. So we knew each other. We started hanging out, but we're like friends at this point. But I like her, and I'm pretty sure at this point I knew, I did. I knew that she had feelings for me, but it just so happened that she was a chaperone. A chaperone for a missions trip where I was the student, a college student. And so it was my first year of interns at the church, and we were in LA and we were helping with the LA Dream
There's a
Center.
3-year age gap in case you guys haven't been listening and you
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not some like creeper.
Yeah, she's not a I don't know the word I was going to say. Predator. She's not a
Cougar,
predator.
but not a predator?
Yeah,
How does
exactly.
that make sense?
But so this is like the last night. And the last night is like, hey, we're done with our missions work. We work with the Dream Center all week. And so it's like, oh, at night, we're going to go to Broadway, the street, and hang out. And so we did this big like scavenger hunt with our whole group. It was super fun. And then basically it was like, all right, everybody, you can go out and have fun, but make sure that you're back in the morning. I think we left at like 7 or in the morning or something like that.
I don't know. Was it not earlier than that?
It actually, I think it was
It
like maybe,
had to
it
have
had
been
to have been like
earlier.
maybe like 5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was early that we were leaving. And our leader was like, do not be late. The vans will be here, this and that, blah, 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 blah. So I took this as like an opportunity to like have a little unofficial date. And so I was like, we were with a few different people, and I don't know if you suggested or I suggested going to the wax museum because the wax museum was right there. But basically a few people were like, oh, well, I don't really want to. I want to go do this. And so, people had different ideas of what they wanted to do. But me and Adrian were the only ones that wanted to go to the wax museum. So I was like, all right, well, I guess it's just us going to the wax museum. So we go and it was just us. And this is the first time that we had ever just hung out, just the two of us.
Yeah.
And so we go
I was very nervous.
We go to the wax museum and we have fun and and then afterwards, and when I recount this, I'm like, this is like not okay, right? I'm prefacing this with like, I would not recommend that you do this. But we were just like, okay, well, like, let's go do something else. And it's getting pretty late at this point. And we looked up like, oh, there's like this lookout spot of Los Angeles, like you can see the whole city. And so we're like, oh, well, yeah, let's go to that. So we get a taxi.
Yeah.
And we drive outside the city to this lookout spot, and it's like pitch black. So the park is closed when we get there, and we ignore it, and we hop over the gate, and we go to this lookout spot. And on the way up, we see this dude, and what I'm pretty sure was like an escort or something, walk up the back. That's like, so we're like, oh, this is getting kind of sketchy.
This is not the right area to be in.
No, but we went to the lookout spot, and on our way to the lookout spot, I held Adrian's hand for the first time. That was like the first move that I ever made.
Yeah.
And I held her hand. And so we hung out at the lookout spot, and we just talked, and we sat there overlooking LA, and it was like,
I'm getting butterflies just thinking about it.
I know, it was such a cool memory. But what's crazy,
but okay, you need to like show them the picture because
I assumed in the editing I'm gonna put the picture up already.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great
picture. It was
picture.
just a moment.
Yeah, it was a moment. And so then we're hanging out, and we're just there for like a few hours.
How were we out this late? It could not. I don't know. What is going on?
So anyways, it's like, oh, we have to be back in, an hour. So it's like, oh, okay, it's getting kind of, let's call a cab. So I call a cab, I call a taxi. This taxi does not show up for like 40 minutes. And we are panicking at this point because we're like, nobody knows that we're out together. Like nobody knows. And so we're driving back.
Our bags are like in our room.
Yes,
like,
we're not
just
packed.
not ready.
So I call my roommate or my guy that's staying, and I'm like, you need to pack my bag for me, and you need to bring it down to the vans because we have been out all night. And he's like cracking up laughing. You call the person that you're rooming with.
Yeah.
Say the same
thing.
A student. And can you pack my stuff? So then we literally, I tell this taxi driver, I'm like, can you please drive as fast as you possibly can? So
this is like a movie scene because
really
the timing was
it's
like
crazy.
Everyone was getting ready, like they're loading the vans and we are pulling up and then acting like we just have been there the whole time and get in the van.
So like the block that there's like 3 vans, and it's a madness because you have, 20 plus people filing into the vans. We pull up around the block and we get out and we take the corner and we just blend in with everybody and get in the vans, and actually nobody found out.
Yeah, that is crazy.
It is so crazy, but that's I love that.
Oh,
because it was just like
exactly
it was
what
the
you were
start.
gonna say.
It was the beginning.
That was a gorgeous night.
Yeah, it was fun. We laughed.
You're such a good storyteller.
Oh, thank you.
We have some good pictures from the Wax Museum too.
Yeah, it was George Clooney.
Well, I know there's a Titanic one for sure.
There's a Titanic one, yeah.
And then there's one with Hugh Hefner. I just like
Hugh Hefner,
the most random, like
it was so fun though.
Yeah, I don't remember what else. We'll have to look through those, but that was a great one.
Okay, what's one on your list?
Okay, so basically, I looked through all of my photos and I made an album. And when I think back to like, okay, some of our like favorite dates, um, we tried to say like, okay, like we're not doing trips. We're gonna do like dates when we talked about like what does a date mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, no like crazy grand gestures, but when I think of like my favorite outings with you, it's not just like dinner and a movie or whatever. It's more like an adventure.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily like, oh, go get candy at this place, but probably one of my top ones is it's not even just like going somewhere. I think sometimes it's just we can be away, but we just like take that time to ourselves, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like a date to us because we're like with a bunch of people and we get away and do our own thing. And one of my favorite like date days we did is we were with our whole family. We were in Arizona
Mm-hmm.
and we really wanted to go to the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah.
And we drove, was it 4 hours?
No, it was longer than
6 hours.
Yeah, I think it was like 6 hours.
6 hours from where we were staying. And
Yeah.
it was just us two. No one else wanted to come. My dad wanted to come, but he didn't want to like leave everyone.
They had kids and
Everyone, yeah. They met us in Sedona afterwards.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we drove 6 hours and I don't know what it is about road trips for me, but I love just being in the car. Us two
Mhm.
will listen to like musicals and get like our favorite snacks. And, you know, maybe we'll like, I talked on the phone with a friend for I think 2 hours of those 6. You know who you are. You always do that to me. But it was such like a special memory. I think some people grew up probably doing stuff like that, like the typical things, but
Mhm.
we had both never been. So
No.
it's fun to experience something new together.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool.
It was fun. We love listening to musicals.
Yeah.
When we're on our top musicals that we listen to are
Hamilton.
Hamilton, Wicked,
Wicked. Beauty and the
um,
Beast we really like.
Beauty and the Beast. There's also we were on The Greatest Showman for a while.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Mm-hmm.
We say Wicked. We already said that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really do love.
There's
those
a lot
musicals.
of goodies in there.
That was a good one.
Oh, High School Musical.
Of course.
We'll go through all 3 movies.
Yeah, but on a trip like that where it's like 6 hours, you got to get some of those deep pulls in there.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are you going to do for 6 hours? So that was a really good trip. That was like, and then, yeah, we met your family and.
On the way back, and we just had dinner with them.
Yeah, that was a cool trip. I think we got.
And that was also during like COVID season. And so
Yeah.
like people weren't really going out anywhere. In Arizona, it was a little bit more open. But we were like, what can we, you know, we were trying to be more creative in that season of like, what can we do that's not like requiring going to a business that's not open. And so
Right.
we're like, let's do a road trip and go, you know, somewhere outdoors. And then we met them back at like this outdoor restaurant that had this beautiful view of all the rocks.
Mhm.
And that was like really cool. So
I feel like we didn't see, like we got to a lookout point of the Grand Canyon, but I feel like there was a different place we could have gone where we saw more.
yeah, we went to Horseshoe Bend because that was a prominent viewpoint that was more like in the area we were versus like it's so big.
Yeah.
So driving any further, we could have been driving for hours
Yeah.
to get to a better spot. But from where we were, it was a really good space to go. But I feel like just those road trips, you see movies and it's like, we're
Mhm.
all taking a family road trip for, 2 weeks. And like at the end of the movie, it's like the family comes together like never before. They relate to each other like they never thought they could. And it's like, because you have this time where it's just you guys and you're bonding and talking about nothing and there's no distractions. You get to actually just be together and it is real quality time, I think.
Yeah, it is, and that leads to another one that I have, and that one is it's kind of like a collection, honestly, of a few from the summer, but it's our time going to Milhouse with the pups.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, so Milhouse is a cider house that we like to go to, and it's in Eatonville. It's like 30 minutes away from us, and we just loved it this summer because truly it's like it's so chill, and we got to bring our dogs with us, and we don't get to do that a lot. And so it just, I don't know, there was just like a vibe about it where I'm like, I'm with my family. It's kind of like we left our cares and we got to
Hmm.
talk and hang out, and I just loved it. But it's like we went so often this last summer.
Yeah, we went so often. I feel like that's my new summer spot. And also what makes it more of a place to go to in the summer is they like totally spent like $1 million landscaping their property outside.
Yeah.
So it's gorgeous. They have like this big, what is that wheel?
I was gonna say a windmill. It's
A
a
mill?
mill.
Millhouse. And so they have this huge mill. They have like a lot of different covered areas. They have
Yeah.
beautiful trees. They have a little creek that comes through. It's just so peaceful and it's so disconnected from like the major town that we live in.
Watermill? Or is it just a mill?
Probably. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm this is like me trying to be a country folk. I wear my overalls there and I'm like, "What's up, people?"
Yeah, Eatonville's kind of like in the sticks.
So yeah, you're like driving through like all the beautiful trees because we live in Washington State. So it's a beautiful drive. It feels
Yeah.
like you're really secluded, but you're in this like Eden in the middle of where are we?
Mm-hmm.
And
And
we could bring the dogs. I that is one of the things I had to.
yep. It's just so great because it just it adds to the idea of like, okay, we don't need a $200 steak dinner and all of this to
But we
like.
do like it.
No, we don't get me
I'll
wrong.
take it, baby.
I could take serve and turf any day, but I'm just saying, it was cool because it was just kind of so out of what we normally do, but we both loved it so much, and it
There
was
was
just
live
relaxing.
music.
Live music. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was live.
Oh my gosh, really?
What do you mean?
That
Well,
guy was all right.
yeah, all right.
It was
Not
just
great.
it
It's not
was
like we had John Mayer
fun.
and Michael Bublé up there. It's like,
That'd be amazing.
yeah, he was decent, but it just
Local
adds. It
dude.
adds to the vibe.
Yeah, that was a really cool date. I would do that every single day.
Yeah, it was fun.
And it's something that was like so simple, but
Yeah.
I think really enjoyable.
You want to talk about one more or?
Yeah, give me you got two.
Yeah, true.
I get two. So another good date that I would say we had. Oh, I can't believe you took that one from me. I wouldn't really call this like, maybe it's a date. We built a blanket fort a couple years ago in our living room, and it was so cool. Like we were like, this is my house. I can do whatever I want. So if
Yep.
I want to put screw hooks in the ceiling so that I can hang a blanket from it, I will.
Yeah.
So we went all out. We like took every like blanket that we had, even like curtains or whatever, to try to like make it into a fort.
Mhm.
And we actually slept out there for like 2 or 3 nights.
Well, yeah,
like
it
in our
took
living room.
It took so long to do that we're like, we got to get something out of this.
We had the fireplace on. We got like pizza, popcorn, candy. We put twinkle lights in it.
Mhm.
It was just really cool. And
It
I
was
think that was
fun.
like a week where we like weren't working, and
It was
so
COVID,
yeah, you're right.
2020. Yeah.
So, we were just at home a lot, and so we're like, how can we make this special? I think, how can you make the most of it?
Yeah.
Whatever is going on. So whether that's like, getting away when you're with a lot of people, so it's just you two, or maybe you're stuck at home, how can you romanticize your life?
Yeah. It took a few hours from what I remember, and it fell down at one point, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of struggle and hardship to get there, but it was awesome. I loved it. That was so
Mhm.
fun. Yeah. It actually ended up looking really good too.
Oh, it looked awesome. We're gonna put a picture up. You guys can see. There were like some white lace curtains that we had.
Mhm.
And so we kind of like draped that around the front. We used all white blankets and sheets and stuff, and
Yeah.
it was cool.
It was so fun. Okay, so that's kind of some of our date Hall of Fames. I'm sure there's some others in there, but just what comes to mind. And I think this is a good little segue to talking about grand gestures in relationships, because I think
Yeah.
some of those are like they were a big deal. And then some of them
Mhm.
was like, oh, well, that we were in our house. So I guess with grand gestures, what's your opinion on frequency? Is it necessary? Should couples have like these grand gestures that they do for one another? What do you think?
Personally, I love a grand gesture.
You do.
I'm
You a
extra. I want
little
you to
bit
be
extra,
extra.
you know.
I'm not ashamed of it. I think but it's not always about that. Like
Hmm.
I can like you said, like I can appreciate a great surf and turf dinner, but like that's not what I'm gonna have for every single meal. So,
Yeah.
maybe one of ours was going to the Grand Canyon and one of ours was like driving to a lookout spot. One of
Hmm.
ours was building a blanket for, another one what it's like they don't all have to be level 10. Sometimes it's the smaller things that are more sweet and special.
Yep.
Going to a local place that we both really like because our whole family can go. Like that was like a really sweet place that like I will just go there stinking every day. I'm so excited for it to be sunny again. But yeah, I think I appreciate grand gestures. I think my issue with them though is when your grand gestures are to overcorrect grand mistakes. And
Mm-hmm.
then you associate grand gestures with like a false apology. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want them to always be associated to something negative. I think they can be grand gestures just because you show great affection for someone.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think that like maybe the romantic movies and shows and stories that we see played out that are really entertaining to watch kind of
Mhm.
guide how we act in actual relationships. And if you apply that into a real relationship, it actually is very stressful and volatile. Like, it's like we love seeing, in a movie, oh, you did this and you hurt me so bad. I'm leaving. I'm flying across the country. And then the dude chases after her and it's like this huge thing. And it's like, that's great to watch, right? It's like so fun, but that should not be how you're actually living your life and relationships. So it's like,
I think what's your intention behind your gesture? Is
mhm,
it an apology or is it an affection?
yeah, yeah, that's because at that point, I mean, you can really get into like manipulation
Yeah,
at
and
that
I
point where it's
I
just like,
agree.
oh, yep, oops, I messed up. And then,
Like, hey, we had a big fight. Let me take you to a nice dinner.
yeah,
It's like, I
yeah,
mean, a nice dinner is great and I'll take it, but is that only ever happening because we got into a big fight? Or is it happening because, like, we're celebrating something? Like, we talked in our last episode about relationship goals and what are
hmm,
your quarterly investments? And maybe those grand gestures happen every quarter,
yeah,
those big things. Maybe it's a once a year thing. I surprised you for your birthday, took you to Disneyland.
hmm.
That was a grand gesture, but we don't do that all the time.
No, no, it's not sustainable to do it all the time.
It's not. It's just not realistic to
Hmm.
life and it changes your expectations where I don't know, sometimes the little things can be really sweet. So I think you need both.
Yeah.
I just think the frequency is not going to be maybe as often as you expect it to be.
Yeah, and I think any relationship needs some type of switch up every now and then.
Right.
Because it's like you never want to discredit and shame something being normal because that's like a majority of our life that we live is normal, is working, coming home, being with the wife, being with the kids, eating dinner. Like that's a routine and that's normal. So you don't shame that, but it's kind of like, I when I was thinking about this, I was kind of thinking about like driving and something can be good and you can be going for a long time, but it's kind of you get into that, it's called highway hypnosis, right? Where it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're driving for so long at the same speed that you're really just like missing, you don't even realize where you're going, how far you're going. That's why sometimes you can get to a destination and you're like, wait, I don't even remember driving here, when your body just goes into
Yes.
automatic mode.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, so I actually do that a lot and it kind of freaks me out, but I feel like the same thing can happen in relationships where it's like you don't want to miss out on something that is good and that is healthy. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like when you just go through the rhythm so much, you're missing out on like the awesome, beautiful things that are going on in your relationship. So what do you do is like sometimes you have these moments and these grand gestures and these switch ups and these surprise date nights and surprise trips. Why? Because it just like it shakes the rhythm a little bit and it
Mm-hmm.
shakes your speed so that you can be like, oh, and snap out of this normalcy to appreciate at least what you have. So I think it gives a good balance to like what to your relationship and how you interact with one another.
I agree. My question though is, do you think with grand gestures, like, do they work or like do they win people over? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think grand gestures will only add to the current status of your relationship. So, like, I don't think grand gestures are a problem solver to a relationship that is not good. Kind of
Totally.
like what, like you just said it. You said, like, it shouldn't be a way to solve the problem. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can solve the problem and then do something, but I think it will only like push down issues that are there until they blow up. Or on the other side, if you do have a healthy relationship, it'll only add to the health and vitality of it. So I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
more of an accelerator of where the relationship is currently at. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with the things that you've been saying. Is it's just not sustainable to have only big grand gestures. Obviously, they're great and they're appreciated when I think there's a healthy intention, but do they win people over? I think that they can, but I don't think that's what sustains it.
Yeah.
I think that can make like a big impression, but like you said, like if you're having an issues, one fancy dinner is not going to resolve your issues, or a trip away isn't going to make your problems go away.
It might make you forget.
It might make you forget for a time, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it can make a good impression. I don't think it enacts change.
Totally.
So I think the purpose of it, though, is to make a good impression. I think the purpose can't be to change things because it's just not going to change things.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, it can accelerate good things, but I don't think it's going to resolve bad things.
Yeah.
So I like them, but I think we have to check ourselves or check the person who's, maybe giving us these things and ask, where is this coming from and what is this doing for us?
Yeah. And there's probably seasons where you get to do more and have more grand gestures, and there's seasons
Mm-hmm.
where you don't. And that's totally fine. I don't think this is like one of those core elements of a relationship. It's just a healthy add-on or addition if you need it, and it helps. It does help in the right context.
Yeah, I just love making sweet memories.
Yeah.
I love
I think that's the
capturing
goal of it.
moments. So like even when we're talking like, oh, what were our dating hall of fames? We kind of I mean, I don't know what you did, but I looked through my photo album and I'm like, okay, what are some of the things that we did? And I was like, oh, I loved that.
Yeah.
And there were so many good things. But the ones that we said were kind of my favorite.
And it is fun. I mean, me and Adrian do this, pretty frequently of like, it's just fun to look back, and that's the point of it, is memories and
Reminiscing.
and talking about it and laughing about it. I mean, like we laugh about that LA story every single time we talk about it and think
Because
about
it's
it.
one thing to be like, oh, when we started dating, like we were doing this, and it's like, but it worked for us. Where I'm like, okay, we did this and it worked, but we don't recommend it.
No, we
Like,
do
there's
not
one
recommend
thing
it.
to like stand by your decisions and be like, they were bad, but they worked. And I'm like, okay, they were bad and don't do it. And it's
Don't
just
do it.
funny you can laugh at yourself
Yeah.
now because it's been so long versus like, lay your pride down. You know that you were out of
Yeah,
line.
and for the record, I mean, I feel like this doesn't have to be said, but the holding of the hands was the only thing that we did.
Oh,
that
thank you for
night.
clarifying. Yes, that's
Yeah, we
all that
talked
happened.
and we held hands, and that is it. We weren't sketchy.
We held hands. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal. My hands were sweaty, clammy.
Cute.
Oh, okay. Well,
That won me over.
and that is how I got Adrian.
And that's how you do it, fellas.
Okay, great. So, yeah, I mean, I think you implement this into your dating life as much as you can, whether it's, creating memories, have a grand gesture, investigate and, grand gestures that maybe are a little suspect in nature and why they're doing that. But it's all about, keeping a healthy relationship going forward and making sure that you have a good balance in your life.
Yeah, we want to have the good with the bad. We just don't want to cover up the bad and act like it's not there with too many good things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope that you have been enjoying kind of the topics that we've been talking about. You can always ask an anonymous question by going to our Instagram profile and clicking on our bio. There's a link that you can ask an anonymous question there. And we always take those into consideration of, what topics we talk about,
Yeah.
what we answer. And just a reminder to like and subscribe and leave a review for the podcast
And a written review.
and a written review. So we thank you. We love you all, to crew. You guys mean the world to us. Continue to let us know what aspects of the podcast or this episode specifically that you like. And we will see you next week on It Takes Two.